Yo! If you don't know what I'm clapping for, it's because this episode was amazing. Like, is this really the same studio that made the first half of Taizai like it was? And now they give us episodes that are just fucking brilliant. Like, this episode, like, yo, like. So, this episode, as a manga reader, whoa, this episode, honestly, in certain key scenes, it beat the manga, and I'm like, whoa, what, like, yeah, it did, and I can't believe that, like, this episode, the key emotional tones when it came to the music, the animation, we didn't see as much derping animation as last episode, to these scenes, the way they were adapted so beautifully, like, oh my god, like, the Dreyfus scene, the Dreyfus flashback, yo, like, the Zeratrus, dude, that was terrifying, like, straight up, when I was seeing that in this episode, and I saw Zeratrus start to speak like he was dead, like, oh, just the voice actor of the dead Zeratrus, when he just saw blood coming out of his mouth and eyes and stuff, and you see how Dreyfus, like, I didn't do it, and he gets into, like, a fetal position, you know, he's just crying, puts his head, like, hands on his head, and he's just crying, and he turns into, like, a child. Just, it shows you, like, I can't explain it, because just the beauty of this episode, man, like, hands down, best episode of Taizai. It straight up is the best episode of Taizai, because they didn't skip anything. Like, there was nothing really skipped at all, and the way it was animated, not just the way they didn't skip nothing, but the way it was animated and the music tones that really complemented these scenes, like, it really, the scene with Zeratrus and Dreyfus, that was one of the best scenes of this episode. Besides the king and, you know, Diane part where you saw King protect her with his barrier, those were the best parts of this episode. Just the beauty of it, and the way the scenes were done with the music and the voice acting in general. Oh, like, I couldn't ask any more. I really could. Like, dude, this episode is how it should be done. Like, I am happy right now. I am so happy to see an episode like this. Like, yo, in the past three weeks? No, yeah, the past 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, Taizai has been just beautiful. Like, yes, A1 is finally getting back on point, which is good. Oh, because now we might have a really good conclusion to this arc, because this is by far one of the best arcs when it comes to Taizai. To see it being adapted beautifully, oh my god, I'm just really happy to see that. So, getting into the details, let's just get into the details. Let me push aside the fangasm moments. So, in this episode, there is a lot you could really take from the episode. There is just so much going down, and I know anime-onlys are going to be slightly confused with certain things, or maybe just so much information to grasp in one episode, so let's try to dive into these details. So, in this episode, you see how Gowther, he's fighting Dreyfus, and he takes a shot to the stomach. Like, you see Dreyfus just quickly charge Gowther and stab him in the gut, and then you see, like, a hole blast up in him, and he's like, oh, you have the power to manipulate memories and stuff like that. I need to deal with you fast. And you saw how Dreyfus attacked him really quick, and all of a sudden you see this hole open up in Gowther, and he falls back, and then he punches, Dreyfus right in the freaking chest plate, and you just see it flying back. So it just shows you, like, what type of creature Gowther is. Like, there's a lot of mysteries and questions around Gowther, and that, I'm not even going to say nothing about that, but there's a lot of theories, and obviously from this episode, a lot of you are probably wondering, okay, so, like, how did Gowther survive that, like, hole in the chest? Like, how did he do that? A lot of mysteries around that. I mean, a lot of people would be quick to assume some different things, but I mean, a lot of mysteries. I wonder exactly how you anime-onlys are going to take that. But moving into the next segment with Gowther. So clearly from this episode, you had it to where Gowther managed to get Dreyfus into some form of illusion or a hallucination. And when he was manipulating with Dreyfus's memories and making him see like an internal nightmare. And in this nightmare, you got to see a little bit of characterization on Dreyfus and what type of actual person he really is. Like, in the a little bit of a flashback. I guess we could consider it a flashback scene. You see how Dreyfus, he was a very kind soul, but he was, yeah, like he had an inferiority complex. That's pretty much what Dreyfus had. Like he felt inferior to his older brother, that was the Great Holy Knight Zarathustra, and you see how he was, going through this dream sequence, and he kept seeing people, how they kept, hyping up his brother, like his brother's amazing, strong, like even his own child wanted to be like, his brother Zarathustra, and it just shows you the burden he had to deal with when he was growing up. And obviously some of these scenes were twisted and manipulated, obviously because of, Gowther's and his nightmare, but this is the type of burden that Dreyfus had to grow up with. He had to deal with, this burden of having an older brother that is just so amazing, so godlike, and he can never stand, above him. Like, he's always living in the shadow of Zarathustra. And you can see how this slow hatred probably built inside of Dreyfus to where he wanted to kill his brother, because as we know from the last couple episodes, Hindi and Dreyfus are the real culprits when it came to killing the Great Holy Knight. So, in this flashback sequence, we get to see how Dreyfus is blaming himself, like, I didn't mean to do it, I didn't mean to do it. Maybe one of these days we might have an actual clear indication what really happened at that time, but at the moment, you see how Dreyfus really regrets what he did, and along with, how Hindi was helping him out, but that was one main point of this episode, but it goes even further than that. If you pay attention closely, there was something very off about that dream sequence, and I'm just going to point it out. If you notice, right at the end, when, Dreyfus is crying in a little bowl, like, you just see him, turn into a little child, and he's crying, and you have it to where Gowther's looking at him like, you're going to be forever, eternal, stuck here, and stuff like that, and he's just saying stuff like that to Dreyfus, and all of a sudden, you see, Gowther gets stabbed, and he turns his head around, and then, the flashback sequence ends inside of Dreyfus's mind. So, what happened in that moment? That is the big question. Now, I want to go into some little details. As we know from the last week's episode, there was an ability called Break. We saw the break of, Dreyfus, like his power, it could break any magic and stuff like that. So, was it because of what Dreyfus did is why he was able to break out of Gowther's ability? I mean, we have to question that right now. But, moving past that, going into the next segment, there was one key scene in this episode. I have to say, I like how A1 handled it. I really do. I like how they handled, the Helbram entire moment in this episode when he goes on a rampage. He's starting to tear things up. You see how, like, everybody's starting to fight him. And you see how King is, like, trying to protect Diane in this fight. I felt like the way they handled that scene, it was beautiful. The way the cliffhangers, oh, I hate that cliffhanger. Like, if I was anime only, I would be so freaking mad, but I had to deal with this cliffhanger when I was reading the manga, so, yeah, I know how you all feel, but still, the point of it is that I like how they cliffhangered us on this, because it was a smart move, it really was, and getting to see how Diane got stabbed in the freaking gut, like this giant icicle stabbed her, I thought they were actually going to slightly censor that, like they were going to kind of cut that out. I really did. I thought they were, but they didn't, and I was actually taken aback when I saw that. Like, when I actually got to see Diane stabbed, I thought they were going to censor it in some form, and to see that, I'm like, yo, that, like, it's brutal. It really is brutal, and to see how, King didn't even try to protect himself, and he was letting himself get beat around all that while he was using all his magic power to protect Diane, it just shows you how much he really loved her. So, a lot of respect towards MVP King in this episode and MVP Diane in this episode. I mean, even though she was really hurt, she was dying pretty much already from the last wound she got in the last episode, she still got up and protected Zill and stuff like that and crushed Helbram into the ground just to save everybody. It just goes to show you the strength of Diane and how great of a character she is. Honestly, best female character of Taizai, in my opinion. Best female character, because I just love her. I love the hardships she's went through, and what she has accomplished to this very point is just one of my favorite characters when it comes to Taizai. And King also, you have to give him mad respect with this episode. Like, King's mad respect for coming in and just protecting Diane. Like, you saw the rage on his face, like, and you also got to see the physical weakness of King, too. Like, when he comes in and he flies in and he sees the state of Diane, he starts punching Hauser in the chest plate, and you see how he's so upset. You see how his, fist is getting bloody, and you see how his knuckles are all bloodied and caved in and stuff. It just goes to show you that King is not really good when it comes to physical attacks. Like, his body's physically weak, and even though he knew that, he was just so pissed off. He kept trying to punch Hauser because why didn't you protect her? Why didn't you protect her? Just asking anything, and that just goes to show you the desperation of how pained he was when he saw Diane in that state. And so, you gotta have mad respect for him. You do, especially the way he acted at the end of the episode, just taking that full force beating and just getting beat around like a ping pong ball. It's sad. It really is. So, episode of Taizai. A very good episode. Like, I couldn't ask for any more as a manga reader. Oh, I couldn't ask for any more out of this episode. It was just that good. It really was. It was handled properly, did so much proper foreshadowing, and I'm like, yes. So, I can't wait. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. How do y'all feel about this episode of Taizai? I love y'all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.